Welcome everyone to our episode today. We'll be doing a little bit of exponents and surds. This is mainly for revision purposes. Alright, let's get on with it. For us to be able to understand exponents and surds, the main thing that we need to do is to unpack number systems. This is grade 12 content, paper 1. And mainly, most of this content forms part of the first question in paper 1. Alright, number systems. When we look at number systems, these are the components that we are going to unpack. Natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, real numbers, and non-real numbers. Let's have a look at natural numbers. Natural numbers by definition, I'll try and keep it short for you so that it's easy to recall. Natural numbers are those numbers that let me use a different color. The numbers that we use for counting, except for 0. Counting numbers except for 0. And then this would be the symbol that we use for natural numbers. It's like a capital letter N. And we can say maybe from except for 0. Sorry about that. So it's 1, 2, 3, and etc. Right? Let's just say counting numbers except 0. Counting numbers except 0. Okay, there you go. Some would even say, can go to an extent whereby they just say natural numbers are whole numbers except 0 or without a 0. That's what they would say. Alright, let's look at whole numbers now. With the whole numbers, these are also counting numbers, including 0. So here we'd look at the symbols such as N, and then there's a small 0 there at the bottom. Okay? This doesn't mean number. The N and the small 0 there, they denote that this is a whole number. And then with the whole number system, we have counting numbers. These, they start from 0, 1, 2, 3, and etc. Okay. Can you even write here counting numbers? Alright. 0 included, of course. Okay. Let's look at integers. With integers, these are all the negative numbers, all the positive numbers, including 0. I've seen in some cases where students would say all the negative numbers and all the positive numbers, and then they make the mistake of leaving out 0. Okay, so guys, please remember 0 is included. So it's all the negative numbers, and then this would be the symbol for integers. It's like a capital letter Z. Okay, and then this would be negative numbers. I can just start from -3. Okay, let me just start with 1, 2, 3 dots to say -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, etc. Right? And so on. Okay. Negative numbers, positive numbers, including 0. Those are integers. Let's look at now at rational numbers. Rational numbers would be the numbers. Okay, so with rational numbers and irrational numbers, these, they are opposites. Basically, they are opposite of each other. Alright, except there are few exceptions. For instance, with rational numbers, a wise man once told me that these numbers, they behave. And then with irrational numbers, they do not behave at all. So what does that mean? Rational numbers can be expressed in the form of a fraction, a over b. Okay, let me just write that. These can be written as a. Okay, let's start with the symbol, just like as we have been doing. So the symbol for irrational numbers would be like a capital letter Q. All right, except in most books you'll see that the Q it is like much thicker compared to, it's like double lines that they have there compared to what I have here. Okay, You have like a Q like that. And then with irrational numbers, you would have like a Q also, like that, except it has a prime there. So they would call that a complement of rational numbers. All right, let's look at rational numbers. With rational numbers, we have all the numbers that behave, right? That's what we said. And they can be written as fractions, right? As fractions. Okay. Fractions A over B. And then these ones cannot be written as fractions. Right. Cannot be fractions. And I am referring to the irrational numbers. These ones as fractions, this one cannot be fractions. Alright. And then looking at A over B here, one thing that is very important also that we need to take note of is that A over B with rational fractions, they can be integers, right? These are inclusive of also integers and 0 also in this case. So A, it's from all the negative numbers to all the positive numbers, including 0. Same thing goes with B, except for B. B cannot be 0, because if B is 0, it is in the denominator, this will become non-real, right? And we don't want that to happen, okay? Because it won't be defined as a rational number anymore. All right. What is also important, there's quite a few exceptions, guys, here when we talk about rational numbers that we need to take note of. One is very important, fractions. And then secondly is that with rational numbers, we do have decimals, okay? We do have decimals, and those decimals, they should either terminate, or secondly, they should recur. So it means after the comma, they repeat. The number either repeats, whether it's 2 digits, 3 digits, but it needs to repeat. Or when it terminates, it needs to end at some point, all right? We need to see the ending. It shouldn't just carry on and on and on and so on. All right, those would be rational numbers. And then with irrational numbers, they carry on and so on and so on as decimals. All right, and they do not terminate. That's what it means basically. And also they do not recur. So you can never find a 0.333, right, as an irrational number. They do not recur. They do not terminate. These ones, they recur and they do terminate. All right, I hope it makes sense. These include decimals, both, except irrational numbers do not include of course, fractions. Okay, let's move a bit further now. We are moving to real numbers and non-real numbers. Okay, with real numbers, these include natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, irrational numbers. All of them are included in real numbers. And with real numbers, we would notice that the sign is like the capital letter R, like that, denoting that these are real numbers. Okay, inclusive of, I'll just write the signs. Okay, let me just write all the signs there. So these are N, natural numbers, NO, for whole numbers, integers, capital letter Z, and we have the rational numbers, and we also have irrational numbers. Okay, which is the complement of rational numbers. And then that would be it when it comes to real numbers. Alright, and then also it's just very important, guys, to note that real numbers are numbers that we use in our daily basis. Okay, let's look at non-real numbers now. With non-real numbers, we have two conditions that we need to respect when it comes to non-real numbers. Let's look at the first one. Non-real numbers, it's in the definition. Non-real, they do not exist. Alright, they are undefined. Okay, let's write quickly the symbol for non-real numbers. Okay, Symbol for that. All right, let's look at non-real numbers quickly, guys. Okay, with non-real numbers, these would be the square root. Okay, let me just write the wording that would be used usually. It's undefined and does not exist. Okay, it does not exist. Okay, this is the wording that we'd usually use for non-real numbers. Okay, let's look at some instances of numbers that are undefined or non-real. A square root of a negative even number. Okay, negative even number. A square root of a negative even number is equals to undefined. Okay, you can punch in your calculator, for instance. Let me just say e.g. Square root of negative 4. Okay, this would be undefined. Okay, you can punch in your calculator, you'd still get that. Another condition that we need to respect is, let me say here 1 and then here 2. Another condition that we need to respect would be a fraction divided by 0. Okay, let's say a over b, where b is actually 0, like the instance that I tried to show you there with rational numbers that we need to avoid. Okay, so with non-real numbers, that would be let me just write number, okay, divided by 0. Okay, this would be undefined, or it does not exist. Okay, let's look at quick example of this. E.g., this would be any number 2 divided by 0. This would be undefined. Can be a negative number also, as a numerator divided by 0, then you'd still get to undefined. All right, guys. If there's any questions, any comments, please post them up on the comment section, and then we'll get back to you. And remember, this is for revision purposes. Okay.